Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. And it's an every moment of everyday thing, isn't it? It's just constant because there's things happening all day long. But I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're having a great morning. I hope you're having a great day. I hope things are going your way. But if they're not, know that God's peace did not leave, right? Know that God didn't cancel anything He put in this Bible and said, He never says, I didn't see that coming or I don't know what to do with that. He is just right there with us all the time. His peace is there. We have to find it and let it rain. But He doesn't abandon us. As a matter of fact, what we're talking about this week is how He chases us. And yesterday we talked about Nineveh and Jonah and how it's not so much about Jonah as it's about Nineveh. God went after Nineveh. He said, Nineveh, you're wicked, you're evil, you're horrible, but you're worth it. And sometimes I feel like I'm wicked, evil, and horrible, right? But God says we're worth it. That's the whole point of the cross. And so I want to look at somebody else today that God went after that others wanted to throw away. And that's Paul, called Saul first in Acts chapter 9 and 10 on through here. And Saul, as we know him, who became Paul, it changed his name to Paul. But Saul was killing Christians because, in his heart, he was fighting for what he felt was right. He didn't know the truth yet. He didn't understand that Christ, the Messiah, Christ had already come, that Jesus had already gone to the cross, and that but he did understand the law. He knew the law. He was a Pharisee of the Pharisees, right? And he understood the law, and he could argue it and philosophize it with the best of them because he was the best of them, by the way, right? He earned that right. And so he was defending what he thought was right because he didn't yet understand what God had done or what Christ had done. He didn't know that Christ had come. He knew there had been a crucifixion, but he was seeing these people follow this man that he thought was a heretic. He thought was not the Son of God. But he was doing some really bad things. He was killing people. And we saw in Acts chapter 7, if you look at Acts chapter 7, you'll see where it's the stoning of Stephen, and he was stoned because he was a believer, because he was a Christian, because he was following the way, right? This is the way. But he was following the way, and so the Pharisees of the day, the religious people of the day, were killing the Christians because it was different. To them, it was heresy. It wasn't what they had always been taught. And that's where Paul was. He thought he was defending God. Now, I want to throw out a question real quick. It's a rhetorical question. It doesn't require your answer. But rhetorically speaking, can we defend God? Are we big enough to defend God? Or is God so big He can't be defended and He doesn't need defending? However, sometimes we do need to go into Scripture and find Scriptures to defend what we are thinking or believing. And that's actually what Paul ended up doing. So Paul's on the road to Damascus. He's going down the road to go kill more Christians because they are against the word they had at the time. All they had was the Old Testament, right? And they're following this strange doctrine. They're following error, and they're doing it all wrong. And so he's going out at his Pharisaical power and his Pharisaical knowledge to kill those who are opposing what he thought was the truth, not knowing, there's the key word, because you don't know what you don't know. Think about that a minute. You can't possibly know that you don't know something until you don't know it. Then you realize you don't know it, or you didn't know it. Now I know it, right? And so he didn't know what he didn't know. And so he was going out to kill believers because he was defending his faith, even though he was in error. But he's on the Damascus road, and bam, right in front of him comes this bright light, and God speaks to Paul. Now, you can go read the story in Acts chapter 9. It's an amazing story of Paul's conversion, chapter 9, chapter 10, right? And as a matter of fact, after he gets saved and after he starts following God and he makes that turn, in chapter 10, I believe it is, it says that the Jews are going to try to kill him now. So, because he's turned from the religious way, right? And I mean, it's dangerous to turn from religious ways because religious people are some of the most dangerous people on the planet. But I'll let that go. Anyway, so here Paul is, and God met him on the road to Damascus. Why? It's okay to read a scripture and go, why? It's okay to read a scripture and go, I don't get that. I don't understand it. But it's also okay to read a scripture and go, okay, God, please reveal this to me. Please show me more about it. Please show me what you're trying to tell me in the story of Saul. Okay, what I want to pull out about the story of Saul is this. Saul, who's going to be Paul, right? Is God knew that even in his error, even in he was doing very bad things. He was literally killing people, ripping families apart, throwing people in jail for following the truth, for following Jesus, right? And we don't even know that much. We know some opposition and some persecution here in the States, but we don't understand that kind of persecution. Our life is not usually on the line, right? It can get weird. I'm leaving that open, right? But he was doing horrible things to families, to individuals who professed to follow Christ and who got saved. It was a horrible time to be around Saul before chapter 9 of Acts, right? And so here he is, but in his heart, he thought he was defending God. Like you're big enough. He thought he was taking up for the truth. He was standing up for the word that he had at the time, and he was fighting for what was right in his mind. He thought he was doing God a service. And then this bright light comes. And I think that's why God rescued him. That's why God came to him, because in his heart, he wanted to know the truth. He wanted to know more about God in his heart. His heart was seeking God. And what did we read out of Jeremiah so many times? When you seek me, I will be found by you. When we truly seek God, he will reveal himself to us. He will let us find him. He's not going to play hide and seek and go, oh, you missed. Try again tomorrow. No, he says, oh, they're seeking me. Let me go show them who I am. Let me go demonstrate my love. Let me give them just give them just a little another glimpse of this grace, this mercy that's theirs, this peace that's theirs, this life that's theirs. Let me just move in a little closer because they're seeking me. And that's what he did with Paul. It came as a bright light and blinded him. Literally, it made him blind. Can God do that? Yes, he can. So God literally made him blind with this bright light. It took away his sight temporarily. And I think that is a physical manifestation of a spiritual condition, because spiritually, Saul was blind. He was blind. He could not see because of it. All he could see was through his religious lenses. Everything came through those lenses of religion, and he couldn't see. So he was blind. But his heart was toward God. He was passionate about what he was doing. He was serious about what he was doing, and he thought he was defending what was right. He just didn't know. And so God saw past what he was doing, and saw in his Paul's heart and said, you know what? I know he's pursuing me. And he met him on that Damascus road that day with a bright light, and had a conversion experience with him. Who are you, Lord? Meaning, who are you, God? Who are you, my master? Who are you, my teacher? Who are you, Yahweh? I need to know you. That was a faint, desperate cry to know God a little bit more. And so the next couple of chapters walk through how Saul gets to know God, and then in truth, right? And how Jesus was the Messiah who came, and the cross fulfilled the law. It did not wipe it out. We can still gain so much understanding about the character of God and understand who God was, not just what he did, by looking at the Old Testament. And the cross completes it, right? It also fulfilled the requirement of the debt being paid that Adam and Eve owed from way back in the garden. Jesus paid it all. It's a good song. You can look that up, by the way. Christian Stanfield, I think, who sings it. Anyway, Jesus paid it all, and so Paul then he went away for 3 years and didn't even talk to anybody, and went away and just talked to God and said, okay, show me, and began to just understand. And then he comes back with all this power. He becomes one of the most prolific apostles of the day. 2/3 of the New Testament were written by Paul, this man who did all these bad things. That's why he says, I'm the chiefest sinner. I'm the worst person, and yet God had mercy on me. God went after Saul because he could see his heart. God's coming after you too because he can see your heart. He sees past the dumb stuff we do. Thank God, right? He sees past the mistakes we make. He sees our heart. And when our heart is turned toward him, he'll go to every length to get to us, just like he did with Nineveh, who was wicked, and Paul, who was kind of righteous, trying to be righteous, but missing the mark. He thought he was doing what was right. He wasn't rebelling against God. He just did not know, and God explained it to him. God went after Paul. God is a God who chases us down. I'm talking about this week. He is passionate about a relationship with us. Will you stop and just talk to him today? Just stop for a minute and go, hey, God, I do want to know you more. Hey, God, I do want to understand this more. Hey, God, I do want a relationship with you. It will transform your life. I promise. Have a good day. Peace out. I'll see you again tomorrow.